What if I told you that the same seat people pay thousands of dollars for could actually be yours for nearly nothing? Most travelers walk right past business class, thinking it's impossible. But the truth is, there are insider strategies that can get you there without draining your bank account. And today, I'm breaking down exactly how people are doing it. When most people think of flying business class, the first thing that comes to mind is the price tag, sometimes $5, $6, even $7,000 for a single seat. But here's the secret. The airlines don't actually expect everyone to pay that. In fact, the entire system of miles and points was designed to fill those luxury seats with loyal customers. And if you understand how it works, you can slide into them for a fraction of the cost. It all starts with credit card points and frequent flyer miles. But not just any points. The most powerful ones are called transferable points, the kind you can earn from cards like American Express Membership Rewards, Chase Ultimate Rewards, or Capital One Miles. Instead of being locked to one airline, these points can be transferred to dozens of partners. That flexibility is what lets people unlock business class deals most travelers never even see. Here's where it gets interesting. Airlines price award tickets differently. Some use dynamic pricing, meaning the miles required go up and down just like cash fares. Others still use old-school award charts, where a business class seat from New York to Europe might always cost 60,000 miles, no matter what the cash price is doing. Knowing which airlines still have those fixed sweet spots is like having the cheat codes. For example, Air Canada's Aeroplan or Avianca's Life Miles programs sometimes let you book the exact same business class seat that another airline is charging double for simply because of how their chart is structured. And this isn't just theory. A quick search on United's site might show a business class seat to Europe for 300,000 miles. But transfer those same Chase points to Air Canada, and suddenly, the identical seat could appear for 60,000 or 70,000 miles instead. Same plane, same seat. But one traveler pays 5 times less. The real trick is timing. Airlines quietly release their best business class award seats either very early, almost a year before departure, or very late, just days before the flight when they know they won't sell them for cash. That's why serious travelers set up alerts with tools like Expert Flyer or free services like SeatSpy. It's how people snag those seats the second they drop, before they vanish again. Now here's where things get even crazier. You don't actually need to fly constantly to rack up the miles. The fastest method is stacking bonuses. Credit cards regularly offer welcome bonuses of 60,000 to 100,000 points, and some people strategically open 2 or 3 over time. Add in category bonuses like 3x points on dining or 5x on travel, and suddenly your everyday spending is fueling luxury flights. It's not uncommon to see stories of people who've never flown more than once a year, but are sitting in business class to Asia, just because they learned how to optimize their cards. But let's be clear, airlines are catching on. Over the last few years, many programs have quietly devalued their points, making seats cost more. It's a game of cat and mouse, which means if you hoard points forever, you'll lose. The real move is to earn and burn. Collect the points, transfer them, and book that seat before the airlines change the rules again. And if you're wondering whether this really works, yes, it absolutely does. In fact, some of the biggest travel YouTubers and bloggers openly admit that nearly all their business class experiences were booked on points, not cash. The glamorous lifestyle people see on Instagram often costs them nothing more than a few sign-up bonuses and smart redemptions. But points alone won't always be enough, because even if you've got a stash, availability can vanish overnight. And that's when the upgrade tricks come into play. So, what happens when your miles don't line up, or all the award seats vanish before you can grab them? That's where the upgrade game comes in, and trust me, this is where some of the most surprising wins happen. Most airlines don't actually want their premium seats flying empty. A half-filled business class cabin looks good to the casual traveler, but to the airline, it's wasted revenue. So instead of letting those seats go unused, they quietly open the door for regular passengers to move up front. And they don't always tell you how easy it is to do. One of the most overlooked tactics is the upgrade auction. Here's how it works. After you buy a regular economy ticket, the airline sometimes sends you an email a week, or even just a few days before your flight. It'll invite you to bid for an upgrade to business class. You literally type in the amount you're willing to pay, sometimes as little as $200 or $300. And if your bid is accepted, you're sitting in a seat that would normally cost thousands. The crazy part? Many travelers don't even bother bidding. So if you're one of the few who does, your chances of scoring are higher than you think. But that's not the only option. Airlines also use something called a copay upgrade. Instead of paying entirely in cash or miles, you pay a mix, say, 20,000 miles plus $200. On paper, it looks like a half deal. But if you compare it to paying cash for the full ticket, you're still coming out way ahead. And sometimes, the copay option pops up at check-in, or even when you're standing at the gate. Here's the catch: not every economy ticket is eligible. If you're flying on the cheapest basic economy ticket, forget it. Airlines block those from almost every kind of upgrade. The trick is to book at least one step above the bottom tier. That might cost $30 or $50 more when you first book, but it opens up the possibility of upgrades worth thousands. That's why savvy travelers avoid the rock-bottom fares, because a slightly more expensive ticket can actually be the golden ticket. There are also airlines that let you request upgrades with miles directly. For example, American Airlines has a system where you can upgrade from economy to business using system-wide upgrades or mileage plus a cash copay. These upgrades don't always clear right away, but if business class doesn't sell out, your name slowly moves up the list. And the higher your status, the better your odds. Which means that sometimes just being on the list is enough. And let's not forget the timing strategy. Some people play it bold by asking at check-in or even at the boarding gate. Airlines often discount upgrades heavily at the last minute, simply because an unsold seat is worth nothing once the plane takes off. It's not unusual to see someone score a seat for 80% off the original cost just by asking, "Hey, are there any upgrade options today?" And while some agents will shrug it off, others will quietly pull up a screen and offer you a deal most people never even think to ask about. The wild part? Sometimes the system glitches in your favor. There are countless stories online of travelers who paid for premium economy, but because of overbooked cabins, they were bumped up to business at no extra cost. Or the airline sent out an upgrade offer email with a price so low it looked like a mistake. Yet once they clicked, it went through. These stories are rare, but they happen often enough to keep people checking every single time. One traveler even shared that they placed a ridiculously low upgrade bid, just $120 for a long-haul flight, and assumed there was no way it would be accepted. But the day before departure, the confirmation came through. They'd won the bid. That same seat was selling for $3,000 in cash. Imagine bragging about that at check-in. The bottom line? The upgrade game is all about knowing where to look and being willing to try. If you never check your email, never ask at the airport, and never play with those bid systems, you'll never even see the opportunities. But if you keep your eyes open, the chances of scoring a seat up front for pennies on the dollar are way higher than most people realize. But upgrades are only part of the story, because sometimes the most insane deals don't come from bidding or points at all. They come from mistakes. Now let's get into one of the most exciting and sometimes unbelievable ways people end up flying in business class without paying full price. Mistake fares. A mistake fare happens when an airline or travel agency accidentally publishes the wrong ticket price. It could be a missing zero, a currency conversion error, or a system glitch. And when that happens, Eagle-eyed travelers who are quick enough can grab tickets worth thousands of dollars for just a few hundred, sometimes even less. This isn't just an internet myth. Real examples have popped up in recent years. For instance, Cathay Pacific, one of the world's most luxurious airlines, accidentally sold first and business class seats from Vietnam to the US for under $700. Normally, those same seats were priced at more than $16,000. And here's the wild part. Instead of canceling, Cathay honored the tickets. Thousands of lucky travelers ended up flying in beds in the sky cabins for the cost of an economy flight. Mistake fares usually spread like wildfire through forums, Reddit threads, and deal alert websites like Secret Flying, The Flight Deal, or Going, formerly Scott's Cheap Flights. If you're signed up for their notifications, you can sometimes catch a glitch within minutes of it being discovered. But here's the key. You have to move fast. These deals rarely last more than a few hours, because once the airline notices, they correct the price. But there's always risk. Airlines don't have to honor mistake fares. Some cancel outright, while others give refunds or vouchers instead. That's why seasoned travelers use the "book now, ask later" strategy. If they see a deal that looks too good to be true, they book it immediately, then wait a few days to see if the ticket gets confirmed. Because if you hesitate, it's gone. Another clever twist is called a fuel surcharge loophole. Sometimes, airlines or booking engines forget to add fuel surcharges into the final price. This can slash a business class ticket from thousands down to just a few hundred in taxes and fees. Again, these errors don't last long, but when they pop up, they're legendary. And it's not just mistake fares on cash tickets. Occasionally, loyalty programs glitch too. People have reported booking business class award tickets for 5,000 or 10,000 miles instead of the 70,000 it should have cost. Those cases are rare, but it shows how even the digital side of airline pricing can work in your favor if you're quick. Catching a mistake fare feels like winning the lottery, and once you do it, you're hooked. Because it's proof that the impossible price tags on business class aren't always set in stone. But even if you never score one, there's still a more reliable way to move into those premium cabins. Loyalty. If you've ever wondered why some passengers get free upgrades while others are stuck in the back, the answer usually comes down to status. Airlines are obsessed with loyalty, and they're constantly looking for ways to reward passengers who fly with them the most. Business class upgrades are one of their favorite tools. Here's how it works. When a flight is oversold in economy, which happens more often than you'd think, the airline has to move some passengers up front to free up seats. Who do they choose? Their most loyal customers. That means frequent flyers with elite status are almost always first in line for free bumps into premium cabins. Elite status can sound intimidating, like you need to fly 100,000 miles a year to qualify. But the truth is, there are shortcuts. Some credit cards offer automatic elite perks just for being a cardholder. Others give qualifying miles for everyday spending, meaning you don't actually have to live on airplanes to climb the status ladder. And once you're on it, the benefits snowball: free lounge access, priority boarding, and, yes, far more upgrade chances. It's not just about miles, though. Airlines also look at revenue. If you buy slightly higher fare classes like premium economy or flexible economy tickets, you're automatically in a better position for complimentary upgrades than someone who grabbed the cheapest seat on the plane. To the airline, you look more valuable. Then there are the softer factors, the ones people don't like to admit. Flight attendants and gate agents do notice when a passenger is polite, well-dressed, and respectful. They're not going to bump someone up just because they're wearing a suit. But if they're looking for a volunteer to move forward, appearances can sometimes tip the scales. After all, airlines want business class to look good for everyone walking past it. And the stories are everywhere. Travelers who checked in early got bumped up because business class had a few empty seats. Others who checked in late were upgraded because economy was oversold. Some even got the nod because their seat was broken or their screen wasn't working, and the only place to move them was up front. The bottom line is simple. When you're on the airline's radar as a valuable customer, whether through miles, credit cards, or status, your odds of sitting in business class without paying full price skyrocket. It's a slower strategy than catching a mistake fare, but it's far more consistent over the long run. And once you combine loyalty with the tricks we've already covered, you start to see a pattern. The game isn't about luck. It's about stacking the odds. But sometimes, the most shocking upgrades happen not months before your flight, but right there at the airport, when everything is already in motion. Even if you missed the chance to book with miles, didn't win an upgrade bid, and couldn't catch a mistake fare, you still have one last shot, and sometimes, it's the most dramatic one. Because upgrades don't just happen before you fly. They can happen right there at the airport, sometimes minutes before boarding. One of the simplest tricks is timing your check-in. Show up super early, and you're often at the top of the list if economy is oversold. The airline already knows they're going to need to shift people around, and being first in line makes you the easiest candidate. On the flip side, there are plenty of cases where arriving late actually pays off. Why? Because if every economy seat is already full, the agent checking you in may have no choice but to push you forward into business to make the numbers work. It's a gamble, but it happens more often than people think. Another overlooked angle is asking at the gate. Many travelers assume upgrade lists are locked by the time you get to boarding. Not true. Gate agents sometimes have a handful of unsold business seats to fill, and if they can squeeze a little last-minute revenue out of them, they will. That's why you'll sometimes hear announcements like, "We're offering upgrade opportunities to premium cabins." At that moment, seats that cost $5,000 online could be offered for $300 or less. It doesn't always happen, but when it does, it's one of the cheapest ways to move up. Then there are the unexpected situations. Maybe your seat is broken. Maybe the entertainment system doesn't work. Maybe the plane is oversold. Or maybe the airline just wants to balance the weight of the cabin. When these little issues pop up, the airline often has to reseat someone, and sometimes that someone ends up in business class. That's why seasoned flyers recommend always being polite, flexible, and approachable. If you're the kind of passenger who makes life easier for the staff, you'll be remembered in those moments. There are even subtler hacks. Dressing neatly, not over the top, but sharp enough that you wouldn't look out of place in a premium cabin can make a difference. Again, it's not about trying to trick anyone, but if the staff needs to move someone forward, they'll naturally pick the person who fits the environment best. One traveler shared that during a long-haul flight, their seatbelt buckle in economy was broken. Instead of repairing it on the spot, the crew quietly escorted them to business class, apologized for the inconvenience, and left them sipping champagne. Another passenger said they casually asked the gate agent, "Are there any last-minute upgrade specials?" and walked away with a lie-flat seat for less than the cost of a night in a hotel. The point is, upgrades aren't always about what you booked months ago. They can happen on the spot, if you know when to ask and how to ask. But to really make business class part of your regular travel life, not just a lucky one-off, you need a strategy that ties everything together. At this point, we've covered almost every angle: points, miles, bids, glitches, loyalty, and airport moves. But the real question is, how do you put this all together into a plan you can actually use? That's where the upgrade blueprint comes in. Step 1. Build a points foundation. Pick 1 or 2 flexible credit card programs that earn transferable points. Amex, Chase, and Capital One are the big 3. Even if you only use them for groceries, gas, and dining, the points add up fast, and the sign-up bonuses alone can cover a transatlantic business class ticket. Step 2. Pick an airline alliance. You don't need to marry one airline, but focusing on a single alliance like Star Alliance, Oneworld, or SkyTeam multiplies your chances. That way, every flight you take builds status with multiple airlines at once, and the miles can be pooled or transferred into more powerful redemptions. Step 3. Play the upgrade angles. Whenever you book, avoid basic economy fares, because those almost never qualify for upgrades. Instead, spend a little more on an upgrade-eligible ticket. You're setting yourself up to take advantage of bid offers, copay upgrades, or even complimentary bumps when the flight fills up. Step 4. Set alerts. Subscribe to Mistake Fare newsletters, deal alert apps, and flight tracking tools. You don't need to check them every day, but when a glitch pops up, you'll be ready. Remember, book first, think later. If it gets canceled, you get a refund. If it goes through, you just scored the deal of a lifetime. Step 5. Master the airport game. When you travel, always ask politely about upgrade options at check-in and at the gate. The worst they can say is no. And the best case scenario is that you're sitting in a lie-flat seat for the price of a budget ticket. Combine that with a little timing strategy, either very early or very late check-in, and your odds go up even further. Finally, Step 6. Earn and burn. Don't hoard points for years while airlines quietly devalue them. Use them strategically. Book your business class experiences and move on to the next. The more you practice, the easier it becomes, until flying business class feels less like a fantasy and more like a skill you've mastered. When you put it all together, you've got a blueprint that can turn a 5-figure flight into a low 3-figure one, or even completely free if you maximize points. It's not magic. It's just learning to play the game the way airlines never wanted you to. And once you try it for the first time, once you walk past the crowded economy cabin and settle into a wide leather seat with a glass of champagne in your hand, you'll realize this isn't just about comfort. It's about never looking at travel the same way again. So now you know flying business class for free, or close to it, isn't some impossible dream reserved for millionaires and CEOs. It's a system, a game. And the people winning at that game aren't necessarily the wealthiest travelers, they're the smartest. Think about it. One traveler pays $7,000 for a flatbed seat across the Atlantic, while another pays almost nothing, sitting in the exact same cabin. The only difference is knowledge. The first person thought business class was out of reach. The second person learned how to work points, how to spot upgrade offers, how to take advantage of mistakes, and how to position themselves for loyalty perks and last-minute opportunities. And the beauty of this? You don't need to travel every week to make it happen. You don't need hundreds of thousands of miles already banked. You don't even need to be lucky. All it takes is learning the right strategies and applying them consistently. Build your points through everyday spending. Watch for mistake fares like a hawk. Avoid the trap of basic economy if you want real upgrade potential. And never ever be afraid to ask at the airport, because sometimes a single question is all it takes to move you from the back of the plane to the very front. The biggest mistake most travelers make is assuming business class is off limits. That's exactly what airlines want you to think. Because if everyone knew how attainable it really is, fewer people would settle for cramped seats in economy. The reality is that premium cabins are filled with people who paid way less than you'd ever expect. Some used miles, some caught a glitch, and others played the timing game perfectly. But almost none of them paid that sticker price. And here's the truth. Once you experience it for yourself, everything changes. You realize that travel doesn't have to be exhausting. You realize that long-haul flights can actually feel like part of the vacation, not just the painful journey to get there. And more importantly, you realize that the exclusive world of business class isn't exclusive at all. It's available to anyone willing to learn the hacks. So the next time you're booking a flight, don't just scroll past the premium seats like they're out of your league. Remember what you've learned here. Think about the strategies you now know, because while everyone else is shuffling toward economy, you might just be the one turning left at the boarding door, sliding into a lie-flat seat, sipping champagne, and smiling at the fact that you didn't pay anywhere close to what the person next to you did. And that's really the challenge I'll leave you with. Don't just watch this video and think, "Cool, nice tips." Pick one strategy, just one, and put it into action. Maybe it's opening your first transferable points card. Maybe it's bidding on your next flight upgrade instead of ignoring the email. Or maybe it's just signing up for a mistake fare alert and waiting to pounce. Do one thing, because once you land your first upgrade, you'll realize how possible it really is, and you'll never go back. Business class doesn't have to be a fantasy. It's a hidden world hiding in plain sight. And now you have the blueprint to access it. The only question left is, will you try?